Today I'm talking about where to get smocking patterns and plates. But first I want to clarify what I mean. So when I say a smocking pattern, I am talking about the actual pattern for a garment. When I say a smocking plate, I am talking about the pattern for the actual smocking that you can put on the garment. So today I'm going to talk about the patterns first and then the plates. With my patterns, I get them almost exclusively from Children's Corner store, and there is a reason for that. First off, they're one of the only companies I think that still makes smocking patterns actively, meaning that they're not out of print and are easy to get. They also have a lot of really great resources if you are new to smocking and learning. They even do video lessons for their individual patterns. In addition to that, I do prefer more modern patterns over vintage ones because I just find that I understand them better compared to older ones. So I'll be sharing my 5 favorite smocking patterns from Children's Corner store, and I'm going to try and go in order from easiest to hardest. So to me, the easiest is the Children's Corner Johnny pattern. Now this one can be done with or without smocking, and it is just a rectangle smocked insert. So there's no need for any shaping or fancy types of blocking or additional tools. You just smock it and then sew it into the piece. The second pattern is the Children's Corner Lee pattern, which is a classic yoke dress. This is my favorite girls pattern. It ranks a little lower than the Johnny though, because you do have to do some shaping for it. So you pleat the skirt piece as a rectangle, but then you actually have to go back in with a zigzag stitch near the top corners and then cut away part of the piece in order to make the bottom half of the armhole. And that just makes it a little bit more difficult. Up next is the basics for boys pattern. This one is a shirt with a button-on short set. And like the last pattern, this one requires some shaping at the armholes. Plus it is actually a smocked insert. So you're still going to have to sew it at the top and bottom versus the last one, which was a skirt, and you only have to sew it at the top to the yoke. Next is the Jamie bubble suit pattern, and this is technically no longer available from Children's Corner. They discontinued it the other year. However, they did release another bubble suit pattern that looks pretty much the same. It has the smocking and everything, so I will link that one when I do all the links in the description. So this one can be done for boys or girls and has 2 variations of the smocking. It has one that is just the straight smocked piece and one that is a round yoke. And the round yoke is just automatically harder in general. But the reason I consider this one harder than the last 2 is because the one that's smocked as a yoke actually has the armholes pre-cut into it instead of having to cut it out. And you might think that would make it easier, but in my opinion, it just makes it harder to put it through the smocking pleater and get it smocked properly. There are also a lot of unusual construction techniques that have to be done with the bubble suit part of the pattern. And the last pattern is the smocked bishop pattern. This one is a dress with a round yoke, and as I already said, that is just a lot harder to do. You have to block it a certain way. It's really beneficial to have a blocking mat for it so that you can get it in the proper shape and so that it sits right when it's worn. In addition to that, you really want to make sure you have a specific type of smocking plate, which is one that starts really tight at the top and gets looser with stitches as it goes down towards the bottom, again so that it'll lay properly. Now we're going to talk about the smocking plates. I also get my plates almost exclusively from Children's Corner store, and really I only have a couple of recommendations for this because a lot of times I just make it up, or I like a classic diamond pattern that doesn't really require a smocking plate. So my 2 favorite geometric smocking plates that I use quite a bit are the Tartan pattern by Ellen McCarn and the Jamie pattern, which is also by Ellen McCarn, and I probably use this one the most actually. Now anytime I do picture smocking plates, I prefer to use specifically cross-eyed cricket patterns, and the reason for that is because of how they do their pattern. So most picture smocking plates have this type of chart right here where it kind of, you have to count it to get the proper number of stitches in each row. What makes the cross-eyed cricket patterns different is they also give a chart here that you don't have to count it. It just gives the stitch count. And for me, that is a lot easier when it comes to working them. So when it comes to picture smocking, I really like the cross-eyed cricket ones. I don't have a specific one that I like more than others, just that brand. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for another handmade happening.